Welcome back, everybody. We are going to do our main event for this episode of Smack Talk. We've got NXT TakeOver Brooklyn and SummerSlam coming up next week, which usually means that we're packed and it's so hard to do that kind of stuff because you got to do a post-show for both of those, and you can't really do the pre-show prediction stuff without just making the Smack Talk episode way too long. So we're going to take care of the NXT stuff this week because we already know what's going to be scheduled for that. They're probably not going to make any changes to it. And if they do, then, it's going to be a surprise. But we've got a lot of matches announced already. Maybe even tonight they're going to change this around or whatever like that. But we've got Bobby Roode versus Andrade, Cien, Almas. We've got the NXT Tag Team Championships on the line, the Women's Championship, and the main championships on the line as well. Austin Aries versus No Way Jose, and the debut of Ember Moon. So, Peyton, first off, I'm going to say something that's not even a prediction, but I just want to kind of bring it up here. What's the better name? They were going with NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2, and NXT TakeOver Back to Brooklyn. What do you think they should have gone with?
I think it's better to keep the legacy with a 2. But I hate when names try to get cute and try to do weird things. Just name it the same event and then just do a number after it. And they're doing a Roman numeral. I think that's the best way to go. I like the style they did it, where they have the necklace with the bejeweled chain on it. Yeah.
So I kind of think that they should have gone with just NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2016. If this is going to be a regular thing, maybe, then, number designation, they're going to stop at 2.
I mean, going to Brooklyn was a really big deal for them. Like, a lot of people, I think, just forget how big that was. That was the first major arena show they ever did with NXT. And they sold the place out in New York City, the biggest market that you're going to want to get yourself into. Like, that is when NXT made it. Like, all the other things they did before were important because it helped them get there, but that is when NXT made it. So that's really their most significant show all year. That's their WrestleMania.
Much better than Respect. Oh. I just had to throw a reference out there. Well, let's start talking about the card, though. We've got Bobby Roode making his debut against Andrade, Cien, Almas. Almas is a guy who's really fresh still, yet Bobby Roode, first match in there, I got to lean towards Bobby Roode. I think that they're not going to have him lose that first match, right?
No, I think he's going to go in there and he's probably actually going to stomp the floor with this guy.
Now, I haven't seen a couple episodes of NXT over the past couple of weeks. They did a huge chunk of tapings to kind of get them out of the way. Mm-hmm. So that kind of, made me not really want to watch it all that much. But I haven't seen much buzz about Almas.
No, he has not been working out as well as I think they wanted him to, and that's why I think they're going to humble him a little bit until they figure out what they want to do with him. I wouldn't be surprised to see a repackaging of him come soon after this.
At the very least, take off those stupid-ass suspenders.
Mm-hmm.
He looks ridiculous. But Bobby Roode, he's he's a bona fide star, and he's somebody that they should invest the proper amount of time in. They know that they can't have him lose. Or at the very least, if he loses, it's got to be like that he gets disqualified or, caught cheating, that kind of a thing. But I'm leaning Bobby Roode's just flat out going to win.
He's going to, like I said, I think he's going to destroy him. I think this is just an introduction match for him. I'm going to say this is the equivalent of Kevin Owens versus CJ Parker. Something like that. Like this,
I hope Roode doesn't get his nose broken.
This is going to be a guy who I think is going to be an instant main eventer for them. And this is just a match to get people acquainted with him.
So we have another ex-TNA guy, Damian Sandow. No. Austin Aries versus No Way Jose. No Way Jose, a guy, again, haven't seen much of. Not too sure what to think about him, but if he's working with a guy like Austin Aries, he's at least going to learn. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would think between the two of them, No Way Jose's probably got a little bit of an edge because he's the babyface. You don't want to have too many heels win. Then again, some other babyface is going to win here tonight, so this could kind of go either way. I think out of all the matches, this is the one that I'm least confident about picking my choice between. Who you got?
I'm pretty confident it's going to be No Way Jose. If you've been seeing the story, the whole thing is No Way Jose is just trying to have a good time, and Austin Aries is being a sourpuss. So this is like a typical story. The babyface should overcome in it.
We got the NXT Tag Team Championship is on the line. The Revival against Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Fucking love that name so much. Ciampa and Gargano have been doing a lot of things with this the Cruiserweight Classic tournament that they got going on, but they were fighting each other in there. And I think that is the caveat here. I'm thinking Revival retains, but not just because they're the Revival, they're kind of the more established team. I think we're getting a heel turn.
What, from Gargano and Ciampa?
Mm-hmm. I think Ciampa's turning on Gargano.
No. Because they made up. They made up the same night. Like, yeah, one of the guys was a little upset about it, but then they hugged it out.
But remember, the tag team tournament that they did with NXT, the Dusty Rhodes Classic one, Joe and Finn Balor had, like, that kind of sort of tension thing where the one could have lost the match and didn't, whatever. They ended up winning the thing, and then they ended up turning on each other.
Yeah, they do this sometimes once. They did this with Enzo and Cass once, too. They just do it to keep things interesting. These guys are great as a tag team. There's no reason to split them apart.
Well, the one downside if they do split them apart is they have no tag teams.
Well, that's not true.
They got Revival, Ciampa, Gargano, and TM61. And the Authors of Pain.
Mm-hmm.
So they only have 4 tag teams. If you take out Ciampa and Gargano, you're down to 3. They need some more.
I mean, that's a decent amount for an NXT type thing. I mean, you don't need a huge tag division in your developmental.
Blake and Murphy are definitely not together, right?
I don't know. That's kind of a murky situation.
It's a murky one.
Yeah.
It's a Blake and Murky situation. I'm still going with Revival no matter what, though. I don't think Ciampa and Gargano, even if they don't split up, I still can't picture them being the champions. I think TM61's taking those belts off of Revival eventually. You got Revival.
The only way I can see Gargano and Ciampa winning this is if it's for a quick reign, just to transfer them over to the Authors of Pain.
That's what I kind of think that TM61's going to end up doing.
It could be them too.
So you got an option of Revival keeping it and trying to build up either one of these 2 tag teams for the Authors of Pain, or you just go right to it now, whatever. Would you rather see Revival stick around a little bit longer, even if it's going to take a while to get the Authors of Pain, or do you think that they're good enough that they can just get those belts in like 2-3 months, something like that?
What, the Authors of Pain?
Yeah.
You could put the belts on the Authors of Pain now. It's the NXT tag belts. There's nothing you have to be ready for. You could put them. You could put them on anybody at any time.
You could put them on No Way Jose.
You could put. Listen, if you wanted to do a disagreeing tag team of Austin Aries and No Way Jose, they could have done that. I don't think anybody would have questioned it. But Revival is a team that I think should be brought up sooner than later. Probably specifically to SmackDown. Oh man, and then them and American Alpha can have another great series of matches on SmackDown.
You know what I just thought of? We need a feud between the Revival and No Way Jose, so it could be No Way, see ya.
Oh no! And if they go to SmackDown, then we could have a thing where like they're in Daniel Bryan's office, and Daniel Bryan could be going yes, and they're going yeah.
Book it, WWE. God damn it, this needs to be done now. We have let's see, the debut of Ember Moon. They haven't specified exactly what's happening here, but that's Athena, for those who know her from the independent scene from that name. We don't know if she's wrestling or if she's just going to like come out, kind of just say, hey, I'm Ember Moon.
As far as I know, she's wrestling.
You know, I would assume she'd probably be wrestling. And I assume if she is going to be wrestling anybody, she's beaten Liv Morgan.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, because they got to feed her somebody. Liv Morgan seems to be the top babyface that they would feed. Or maybe Aaliyah. I don't know. She's kind of a heel, kind of a babyface.
They might even just get some like local, or maybe like, you know how they bring in people from Australia now and then. Probably just be someone like that.
Like that Evie.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one chick's name is. She was cute.
She was real cute.
Yeah, I like Evie. Bring her back. And yeah, they got a couple other people that they can bring into the mix too. I know Deonna Purrazzo has been popping up quite a bit too, so maybe they'll have her wrestle. But I'm actually kind of interested to see what they do with Ember Moon. I think that she ended up being one of the best assets that they've got going on. I've heard a lot of good things about her. And this division, I think, pretty much needs her because I think Bayley's coming up.
I think Ember Moon is a really cool name, too.
It's a little like, I'm 1/18th Navajo to me. You know what I mean? type of thing where it's just like, I'm really connected with my ancestors. So I don't know about that. But at the same time, it sounds less like a porn star than I thought it was going to be. So, hey, if she ends up impressing in the ring, doesn't matter what they call her.
I think it just sounds like, I don't know, sounds like like it reminds me of the days of characters. Like you would have someone like that and not just Jane Janet or some shit like that.
How bland would she be? Jane Janet. She's just got one solid color for her outfits.
Yeah.
Hair's back in a ponytail. It's like this nondescript, dirty blonde. She puts up one hand. Woo!
One hand with one finger.
Yeah, the one finger. Yeah, I'm Jane Janet. You can call me Jane or Janet. Doesn't matter.
Come on!
Yeah. There you go. Ember Moon is going to beat Jane Janet at NXT TakeOver Back to Brooklyn 2 2016. But bringing up the idea of Bayley, I think that Bayley is moving up. I think that she's losing this match with Asuka here for the NXT Women's Championship, and this is her send-off. I don't think that Bayley has any chance whatsoever. Now, I got a feeling you might be able to convince me otherwise, but are you going with Asuka all the way? Are you going with Bayley as getting the shot?
See,
what do you think's happening?
For me, this is the match I have a hard time predicting. I think either one could work. I think there's just as much of a shot to do a second women's title run, the first ever two-time NXT Women's Championship with Bayley, because I think Asuka's run's been kind of a bust.
Yeah.
I think you could take that title off her, let Bayley do it again, and you could just bring Asuka up to the main roster. Like, I think she's a person who go out there and still have good matches, and she can find her character more on the main roster. She doesn't need to be down there in developmental. She has the skills beyond that. And Bayley, yes, I understand Bayley deserves to come up as well, and she will. She's going to be a huge star. But you know what? Sasha Banks is the huge star they're into right now. She needs her time. Bayley can continue running NXT for a little bit longer. Not too long. Bring her up before WrestleMania, but you could do a second run. Let her wrestle with some of the other people, this Ember Moon, Jane Janet, or whoever else wants to challenge her. Who's that Jersey chick? That Jersey chick that they seem to like?
Liv Morgan?
No, not Liv Morgan. The one who wears like all the jersey, like in the backwards hat.
Liv Morgan.
Is that Liv Morgan?
Yeah. They're really good looking blonde.
Oh, I guess it is Liv Morgan. Okay. Who's the one with the rose?
Peyton Royce.
Peyton Royce. Okay, I was confusing her for her. But yeah, that's my idea that maybe Bayley could win. At the same time, you could just keep it on Asuka and then bring Bayley up. There's no offenses to that either. But I think if you're trying to make the most sense for a title run, I think you could put a second run on Bayley.
You know, you kind of sold me on this a little bit. I don't know. Now I'm kind of questioning it. I'm still going to go with Bayley not winning here, but...
And it would be 2 years in a row Bayley wins the title in Brooklyn. But at the same time, it would make perfect sense for her to have her send-off there, too. So there really is an argument both ways on this.
I think a lot of this depends on if Ember Moon's supposed to be a heel or babyface. If she's a heel, I think Asuka's retaining. You know what, though? Maybe if she's a babyface, though. Because Asuka could turn heel.
Well, I don't expect Ember Moon to be the next contender for the women's title. I think
they're going to hotshot her.
Okay, they may. But I think they'll get more value out of having two consistent things going on with women, like have the title one and then have Ember Moon building herself up, and then you can do Ember Moon versus whoever the champion is, maybe at their NXT WrestleMania show.
Well, they have yet to announce when the next NXT TakeOver is going to be.
It's usually in like October.
Could be, yeah. I think Respect was maybe like the very, very beginning of October or so. I don't remember correctly off the top of my head, maybe. But they usually do one around like the fall, then they do one around the December or so. So there's a little bit of time that they can build something up. But yeah, now you're starting to make me question this a little bit. Now I'm thinking maybe Asuka turns heel, maybe Bayley retains.
I don't think we're going to see any heel turn or anything like that. I think this is going to be a lot like Sasha and Bayley had last year, where it's just two women going out there, giving their all, and showing that they can hang and have a match of the night. I think that's what they're going to be aiming for with this.
Sasha and Asuka.
Did I say Sasha and Asuka?
No,
oh.
I just did. I just thought it would sound funny to say it out loud.
Well, that'll be a great match to have someday.
Asuka. Well, our main event for this event is going to be the NXT Championship. Samoa Joe is defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. 100% I'm going Nakamura wins here.
Yeah.
Now, again, that's another thing where maybe not. Maybe he comes up to the main roster. But more than likely, I think that Joe's been coming up pretty soon. I think they're going to trust Nakamura with NXT.
Yeah, I totally think NXT is going to be Nakamura's show for at least a few months. I think he's going to get the same kind of run like a Finn Balor got, where they're going to give him a shot seeing how he can be the top guy, because I think Nakamura is a guy, when he does come up, is probably going to get shot right into the main event like Balor was. So I think they have their eye on him and they want to see how he does with that top spot. I 100% think Nakamura's got this in the bag.
I think there haven't been any other people that have been built up in the slightest bit to take this off of Joe. Like, they were just waiting, and they did the Finn Balor thing. They kind of like dragged that out a little bit because they knew about the draft coming up. And now it's just like, all right, we got Finn Balor out of the way. Now's the time for Nakamura. Maybe it takes Joe a little bit of time to come up. Maybe it's not quite like immediately, but I'm also kind of thinking that Joe's going to go to SmackDown. I think SmackDown needs those heels. I don't know if that's going to work in its way with like AJ or so, but I would not be shocked at all if we see Samoa Joe on SmackDown by Backlash.
Does Joe have any unfinished business with anybody he might want to go after? There's two people that I can really kind of think of, and you could say Finn Balor and Kevin Owens. And they're both Raw guys.
Maybe. Well, the Owens thing I don't think that they would do because they're both heels.
The only other... I could see him going to SmackDown too, because he might be the next guy to try to challenge John Cena.
Ooh, yeah, because they did talk all in the past about how that they wanted to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, Cena's got to stop doing the AJ Styles thing. It's not going to be, the next 8 months. That could be the next guy. And it would be a good marquee match. They got the Backlash pay-per-view where they're going to need that kind of a thing if they're going to split this whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
Could end up being a challenger for Dean Ambrose once you get him out of that. Could be somebody who actually even is like the next person for Dolph Ziggler. Like, he beats Ziggler on his way up.
Sure.
Nakamura, in the meantime, he's, going to stick around in NXT, I think.
As long as people are beating Ziggler, I'm happy. And Nakamura is going to be great.
Here's a question I have that it's going to sound like it isn't supposed to be. This isn't how I'm meaning to be wording it, but you've got Nakamura at the top.
Mm.
You got Asuka at the top. Hideo Itami just came back.
Kota Ibushi.
You think that there's going to be some kind of like a sort of like movement to go, well, why don't we bring one of those people onto the main roster because we don't really have any kind of like a Japanese star on the main roster?
Mm-hmm.
You think it's going to be... oh my god, I just blanked on his name. Hideo Itami. Or do you think it's going to be one of the other two?
I think Itami's got a lot of work to do yet. I'm not sure if he's fully rehabbed out of his injury just yet either. He's still got to work off a lot of ring rust. If they really feel themselves craving for a Japanese star on the main roster, you know who they're going to go for?
Tajiri?
Tajiri. Yeah, that's who they would bring in before any of these guys.
He should be popping up on the Cruiserweight Classic at the very least.
But then, well, you know what? You bring Tajiri around for a while, just to have a presence, and then when you have the next Japanese star come up, they go right after Tajiri and be like, all right, well, here's our replacement, and just takes him out. So Tajiri gets one little run, and he gets to help put over the next generation.
Totally cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's Asuka. That'd be great.
Well,
she just beats the shit out of Tajiri. All right, so real quick recap. We're both going with Bobby Roode over Almas.
Yep.
Both definitely going Ember Moon over Jane Janet, or whoever the hell she ends up facing. We're both going Revival, right?
Yes.
And I think we both are going a little bit more towards No Way Jose.
Oh, I'm definitely on No Way Jose.
You're definitely on him. I got Asuka. You got Asuka, or you got Bayley?
That's the one I'm torn on.
Gun to your head, who you picking?
Bayley.
Ooh, split vote there. And we got Samoa Joe, Nakamura. We're both flat out just going, yeah, then Nakamura's got this one.
Mm-hmm.
But, as I said before, guys, always leave your comments. Oh, go ahead.
There's one more important reason why I would say Nakamura's got this, because I think his next challenger will be Bobby Roode.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you got to have the babyface having that title to go against a heel Bobby Roode.
Certainly ain't going to be Almas. Or no way, Jose. But leave your comments below, everybody. Tell us what you think's going to end up happening in all these different matches. If anything does change over the next week or so, well, you know what? We did this in advance, so that's what ends up happening. But next week, we're going to be going over our SummerSlam predictions for everything that's happening with the main roster, stuff like that. That's going to be our main event for that episode of Smack Talk. We're going to be more refreshed. Hopefully not going to have any Skype issues along the way, anything else like that. But hopefully you guys had fun with this episode nonetheless. Tell me what you think about the lineup, too, with the addition of the Ask Him to the IWC Outreach and the Rest Hold and all that kind of stuff, and the new graphics, too. If you like those and you dig them, hit that thumbs up button. But keep following smarkoutmoment.com for everything else that's happening your way. Peyton, anything you want to toss out to everybody?
Follow me on Twitch. Twitch at MRPADEN. That's Mr. Peyton.
All right, guys, that is it for this episode of Smack Talk. Thanks again for listening, everybody. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.